In this episode of The Drawing Room, I'm going to show you how I painted Freddy's underwater scene from our graphic novel, Deacon's Alliance. Okay, as usual, I'll start off with Freddy's drawing. And we had an idea of what the background should be. In this case, he just took from one of our pages and dropped it in of the dungeon scene. And in this case, the queen was walking down the stairwell that you can barely see back here, and that's just because he's got it softened really light. Plus, I also have blue line turned on. Freddy normally draws, I'll show you, he normally draws, with the pencil drawings like that. And then what I do is I will pull it up above the panels and then blue line it. And that's so that I can have it lay on top of what I'm about to do. And then I just turn it off and on when I need it. Now, I also will change the background to a lighter color, a different color, not a lighter color, but anything but white, because white kind of gets too bright. And the color of the background will be based on whatever color I'm wanting this page to lean towards. And in this case, it is an underwater scene, so I'm going to go with that light blue. And then his drawing will just stay on top. Okay, now we knew that it was going to be a background, it was going to be a dungeon. The background was going to be this dungeon scene, and he's swimming up towards this exit area right here. That's where he's going to escape from. Or escape through. He's escaping from the dungeon underwater. And also, we didn't want the dungeon to be full of water. It's going to have a point where it's filling up. And that's the thing, is the castle is sinking into the ground, and it's just filling with water, and is sinking into this marsh. Okay, so to start off, then I had to get the background of what this dungeon, and I had something to go from because we've already done the dungeon several times in a previous book, and we were just using that dungeon over again. Okay, so first thing is I drop in the blue background and then bring in the dungeon. And I'll drop out Freddy's storyboard here, and this is it. And we have a man who is in this jail or cell, and of course he wants out because this is all going to be underwater. Okay, so I have it painted there, and now what I need to do is bring it to date of what this scene is supposed to represent, which is being underwater and in a castle that is falling apart. And so we want cracks all throughout here. So once I had it painted and arranged the way that we want, these stairwells going up, so the queen had originally come down the stairwell, but we had a different angle, but we just knew where this is going to go. I don't know where exactly this goes up here because we've never drawn anything above this or beyond it, or what's behind this. I'm just going to assume that since this is now underwater, that is just water. I don't know. We just know that he is going to escape through here, and that's the story, and I'm going to stick with it. Okay, next thing we need to do is add our cracks. So this is where we wanted the cracks to go, and that by itself isn't 3D enough, so just went and highlighted some edges, just like that. Now it looks pretty good, but that's still not underwater. So added some glow here to make him show up, and that's because as we keep adding more and more layers, it's going to get a little darker, and we don't want necessarily for it to get dark. We want the light to get diffused. That's a good start. Now we know what the page is going to look like, and we have our kind of hidden contour lines going on. We know how we want the eye to follow. We know that Freddy's characters, and put the characters back. We know that there's going to be a character right here and a character right here. We know that there's a character here. We also know that we have some panels that are going to be drawn over some of this, like right here is going to be blocked out, and where this is going to be hidden, this is going to be hidden here. So here is one of our characters here, and so we have our lines going and following through right down in this direction, but everything is going up. And that's the way that we want our painting to enforce that vision that Freddy has already laid out for us. Okay, we still need some stuff in here, so one of the things that we need is water. Okay, so we have an above water layer here and a water texture here and a below water. So the order in which I did this was the below water first, because that's what we see most. What's up here above the water, that's going to be kind of phased out, kind of blurred. So this, although a lot of work went into painting those rocks and everything up there, it's going to kind of disappear. Kind of sad, but hey, that's what sometimes happens, especially with digital, and you're painting digitally. You can do that a lot easier than you can with regular media. I can actually evolve this instead of painting it all at once. When you're painting with regular media like oils or acrylics, you got to know what you're going to want to do, and you layer that accordingly. And in digital, I can layer and make it non-destructive. Here it is. The painting's still there, but it's going to get changed in other layers, but in a non-destructive way. In other words, if I don't like it, I just remove the layer and go back and do it again. Really cool. And that's so the whole graphic novel evolves, and Freddy can tell me, yeah, he likes this, he doesn't like that, let's go a little bit more one way or the other, and then so that they go, the background, the painting goes along with his drawings. Okay, so let's add our below water, and notice right there, and all the below water is basically these two layers really don't do anything. It's this layer and this layer. This layer gave me this diffused blue color because water absorbs all colors of light except for blue. Or I should say less blue, but it does. Blue is what you see mostly in water, and all the other colors start to get absorbed. Now, but I also wanted to have a gradient to show some shadowing. Okay, like that. Now, we'll get to this staircase in a bit, because now, as you notice, the staircase starts to get a little muddled. And that's okay for now. We're going to leave it like that up for a little bit. Okay, so we now have our water, but it still doesn't feel like water. So the next thing I needed to do was give us that water texture, that fractal image that you see in water, which is this guy here. And see, now we have it going all the way up, but notice it kind of disappears up here, and that's okay. We're going to bring that back out. We'll make this show even more, but right now it's starting to look like it's underwater. We also need some other things underwater, like well, let's put a gurney in, because that gurney was in the original scene of this dungeon. So we put it in, but now it's kind of just floating around. It's not standing up like it was, and the bodies that were there are kind of gone anyways, because they were used for other things. But there were 3 gurneys here, 3 bodies, and one of the bodies is going to be that surrogate that is going to be right here, and the other 2 bodies, well, he's one of the bodies. I guess it's just the 3rd body that's disappeared. Okay, now because this is falling apart, we got our cracks and everything, but we need some debris falling in here. So let's add some rocks. So we got some debris, and the way that's done is simply we have a rock and then some bubbles following it down. And it's subtle. It's just to show that there's something there. Same thing with these falling rocks. We have the bubbles and we have the rock, and then some extra bubbles in there just to make them glow and make it more interesting. And we'll add finally some more rocks, a bigger rock there. And there we go. Now we got some stuff that's just dropping through, and from something up here, probably these rocks up here are just breaking off and falling through. Hey, makes sense. Now the final part here is what to do with the top, because we want it to feel like it's filling up with water, and the water line is going to be right here. So we have 2/3 and 1/3. Makes sense. Okay, I'm going to unclick these so I can show you the way we did this above water scene. And it's, yeah. We'll do the reveal. Okay, so that's what we did. I just took that section and blurred it using a Gaussian blur. Just blurred it until it felt like, yeah, that's about like what water would do to it. The next thing we did was add a water texture, because you need that, and it's just an overlay. And then we had to give a color, because water has color to it, or I should say absorbs every color but blue. So we'll add another overlay layer that then just gives us a diffused light blue. But we also need some shadows. So along the edges here, we're just making it a little bit darker and then lighten up there. That's, well, you'll see that just kind of helps make it more real, because we're going to start to add some water edging. And that's just a subtle, you can see now I've darkened it and then I just lightened right on top of it. And then we started adding some water lines. And here, this is very important. Even though this is below water, it had to come into the above water layer because it's reflecting off of here. See, notice, and now we're starting to bring back our stairwell here. It's starting to then, like it's getting the reflection off there. But we still need more light. So we start to add our diffused light up here and along the edges, and it's just reflecting off of things. That's the cool thing about water. It's reflecting off the surface of the water onto here, as well as off of our light source, and so you get, you know, just reflections, diffused light everywhere. It says bubbles, but I think I may have taken them out because I'm not seeing them. Okay, now we need our white light glow. And basically what we're doing is we're just highlighting that and then highlighting our stairwell some more. Notice? See? Our stairwell is starting to come back. You're starting to look and say, yeah, that stair is going up. It almost looks like it's something ancient under the water. And that's the effect we were trying to get. This is like old, and it's underwater. Actually, it isn't. It's old to us, but to them it actually isn't that old, because this is all set in the 1860s. Okay, I needed to have some glow coming down. I just stopped it right there because we have our surrogate here, and this is just kind of lighting up her face. We want the eyes to come this way, and so you get those light rays in the water. And then we start adding our edge. See there? The edges along there. And just kind of... And then finally, the last bit of glow that would come from here, bouncing off these actually bouncing off the water onto the walls, not bouncing off the walls, but bouncing off the water surface onto the walls. And that source is coming from here. Okay, almost finished. That explains all of our layers here. And then I'm going to add a lot of glow. See, we're just lighting up the sides of the walls here and the floor bottom here, all from here. And that's just going to make our figures stand out when we put them back in. But we also needed to darken a kind of a vignette, but not totally. And that's just, we're darkening the top up here because it would be dark. And that's just so this stands out more and keeps your eye down here. We will have our panels up here that your eye will go through, but we wanted your eyes to be really mostly down here. And there's our underwater scene. And then if we put our characters back in, now you can see all that glow down there was really for her, to make her stand out. And these are basically just, right from Freddie's drawings. Even the hair and everything was all from Freddie's drawings. We wanted to twist her around. She's just kind of like going wherever the water is pushing her because, well, unfortunately, she's lifeless. And Edgar is in a hurry to get out, so he's heading there. That's his way out. To get above this water, he'll get some air and then get out through that opening. And there we are. Okay, and then there's just a matter of putting back or putting in all of the other layers. And bingo, we have our page, our underwater scene. This took about 4 to 5 hours to paint all this, to get all of this in. And that's not counting the time it took for Freddie to do his drawings, of course. That he'll lay out what he sees it to be, and then, like I said, it's the background that we'll do first. The money shot is what we call it, or the featured panel. This is the featured panel, and I'll paint that in, and then start adding in the characters on top of it. Okay, there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. And on the next episode, what I'll do is we're going to create an underwater scene together. We'll create one from scratch. And you can see all of the steps that it takes to make it feel like it's underwater, make you feel like that you're really there. We'll try that. And later episodes, we'll be grabbing stuff from our graphic novels and showing how we created those special effects.